factory in the south end of Burlington, Vermont. This is 993 FM WBTV-LP Burlington, streaming online at 993wbtv.org. And this program is made possible in part by Burlington Telecom's Lifeline program, promoting a digitally inclusive community by helping Burlington residents afford the internet tools they need to reach their full potential. Learn more at burlingtontelecom.com. And now, please enjoy another episode of Steam Lab.
Nerdvana of Geektopia. Each week, we'll explore topics related to science, technology, engineering, art, and the mathematics. Our mission is to entertain, engage, and educate the Burlington community. Wait, no, the world.
Wow, we are nailing this intro.
Welcome to Steam Lab.
Gosh.
I'm your host, Engineer Phil, and across the way from me is Dr. Kyle, and this week we are going to talk about the Muppets.
The Muppets.
And we're not streaming live appropriately, so you're going to see a picture of, I think, Beaker just looking off in the distance. And I did it again, Kyle.
What you can't see is the fact that me and Philip are dressed of spitting images of the Muppets right now.
Uh-huh.
I'm wearing a full Kermit the Frog outfit.
Thank you very much.
And naturally, the camera's dead, so you won't get to see that.
No, it's all good. It's a whatever. I mean, we came up with a workaround. Athena was she was light on her feet. She thought of it. She said, "Look, I can just do images," and because she's way into puppets.
Oh yeah,
this is the whole puppet thing.
Oh yeah, very cool.
So it's pretty rad, and so hopefully my mother is listening. And if you haven't called your mother,
call her now.
If you are listening to this show and you haven't called your mother, that's not good. You have failed at being a human.
Ooh, harsh words.
It's Mother's Day. So make sure that you call your mom. I've tried calling her a couple of times. And cool thing is maybe my mom doesn't know this, but as soon as she calls me on the phone, she's going to go live.
Oh, you're going to put her on the air. Oh, surprise, Mom.
Surprise, Ma. Oh, by the way, if you can't see us on YouTube Live, we're not on Facebook Live. We're on YouTube Live, and I posted a link on our Facebook page, facebook.com/SteamLabVT. You can find us there, and it's just probably an image of, I don't know what, just Beaker. Still Beaker. It's just a picture of Beaker.
Staring into your soul.
Oh, no, it's a picture of our logo. All right, that's fine. All right, it was Beaker. Athena's images are going to flash across the screen of what we're discussing, which is going to be fantastic. And I'm really excited to do this show.
Oh, yeah.
This week.
Same.
I'm very excited because the Muppets are amazing. And, so, you know anything about the Muppets, Kyle?
I mean, so I feel like my era of like growing up with the Muppets isn't quite the same as like the 80s, 90s era of growing up with the Muppets.
Sure.
But I definitely grew up with the Muppets movies and the kind of TV shows
Sure.
that were produced when I was, in late 90s, early 2000s.
Yes.
Which is still, I mean, some wouldn't say classic, but I'm familiar with Kermit and Miss Piggy and all the characters and Gonzo and Gonzo Goes to Space or whatever was the big movie that came out and when I was a kid. I forget. There was a whole bunch of them.
Oh, no, man. I mean,
Yeah.
there's been a ton. And, so basically the history of the Muppets and its inception kind of, it starts and ends with Jim Henson.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so Jim Henson was this creator of these things. And puppets have always kind of, I honestly, like, Athena should come in here and talk about this because she knows so much about it. But it's like this ensemble cast of puppet characters, and they're just like kind of absurd. They're musical. They do a lot of variety sketch. And the cool thing about the Muppets is always kind of bordered on very adult humor, but doesn't really step across the line. So it's like kind of close to adult humor, but it's not quite. So it's still good for the kiddies. Anyways, so the Muppets are actually owned by Disney now.
Oh, are they really? I'm look how surprised I sound at that sentiment that some other major thing of any industry is owned by Disney Corporation.
Yeah, Disney owns everything. So Jim and his wife Jane, they started up the Muppets in the early 50s, and his first inception of the Muppets was Kermit the Frog on a show called Sam and Friends in 1954.
Well, I think even before we start talking about the Muppets
go
themselves,
ahead.
too,
Yeah.
One of the things that's really interesting about Jim Henson that I found in my research.
You're a tremendous amount of
Tremendous
research
amount of research.
you did. Yeah.
Is that before Jim Henson, like puppets were kind of like, as we think of them, like the marionette type things with the strings above and being controlled by Puppet Master
sure.
and everything, and they weren't as expressive and emotive as the Muppet characters we know and love so much. And what Henson
what he did was he made them.
he redesigned the kind of concept of it a little bit. And so if you look at the Muppets, they're controlled with rods underneath them, and they're built differently, and they're like when they vocalize, they don't just open and close their mouth, they actually open and close their mouth to like what the words they're saying at, which was a new concept at the time when he was bringing it in. So he sort of reimagined the whole game with the Muppet kind of industry and the family, in that now these were these very expressive, emotive type of puppets versus the original kind of, not as expressive, more just like yapping and marionette style class. Which
Athena has pulled up a picture here of a marionette puppet. And, it's always been a thing. Yeah, you remember the one from The Sound of Music? High on the hill.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, Howdy Doody.
Howdy Doody.
Right, okay. But so the Muppets, kind of, and honestly, they're really like cartoon characters come to life. And these artists did amazing things that puppets don't normally do, like fish. Like actual fish underwater, moving around, talking.
Yeah.
Characters would like wear clothes and like take off a hat, wear glasses, take the glasses off, put the glasses back on.
Put jackets on.
Like
lab coats.
Get dressed, wear clothes. There's a lot to the Muppets. So, okay, we know about the Muppets.
Not to derail. Let's go
No,
back
we're
to
not,
the start.
We're not derailing at all, man. This is totally fine. And so the Muppets kind of became famous really through Sesame Street. That's really when the Muppets took off. Mm-hmm. And Sesame Street started up in 1969. And that's when they really obtained that celebrity status. And went from Sesame Street, which is just kids programming, strictly, to The Muppet Show, which started up in 1976. And that show won several awards. I think 4 Primetime Emmy Awards, and had like 21 nominations during this run from 1976 to 1981. That was the first run of The Muppet Show. And so during the 70s and the 80s, the Muppets also did a lot of feature films. The Muppet Movie, that was in 1979.
Yep.
The Great Muppet Caper, 1981. The Muppets Take Manhattan, 84. And I'll tell you, the Muppet Movie is... honestly, if you put that movie on right now in front of me...
Oh, I'll watch the whole thing.
Yeah, right, exactly. Oh, my mom's calling.
Uh-oh. Pam Peterson's about to go live on the air.
Hi, Mom.
Hey, Philip, how are you?
You're on the radio, so don't swear.
Oh, okay. Good.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom.
Well, thank you, Philip.
I love you.
Well, thank you, dear.
This is so sweet.
She said thank you. You're supposed to say I love you, too.
Oh, I love you, too. I saw you dressed as a bumblebee.
Yeah. You don't give it away, Mom.
What?
Yeah, no, I'm the bumblebee. I was the mascot in the parade yesterday.
Oh, were you really?
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
man.
me. Yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah. So Burlington has a mascot.
Very cool.
Were you impressed, Mom?
I was impressed.
So we're talking about the Muppets today on the radio show. Are you listening?
No, not right this minute. I'm not.
Mom.
Oh,
You're
wow.
supposed to
What
lie.
a bitter pill to swallow.
You're supposed to just say yes.
What's the lie?
Yeah, you're supposed to say, well, of course I'm listening on several different types of social media. I'm listening on YouTube Live.
Yeah, I got it on everywhere in the house.
I'm watching you on VCam. We're everywhere.
Everywhere.
Okay, I love you, Mom, and I will call you later.
Okay. I will answer if I'm awake.
You'll be awake. Come on, it'll be like 7
Oh,
o'clock.
the sass is strong here.
No, you
Love
never
you,
get
honey.
it. Love you too, Mom. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. Gosh, are we recording?
Yeah, of course we are.
No, we're not, are we?
No, we totally are.
Okay, good.
I started 20 minutes ago.
Wow.
Wow, ye of little faith.
Okay, so we got derailed there a little bit.
Back to the program.
Yes.
You're back to your regularly
Yes.
scheduled Steam Lab.
Yes. So Muppets Take Manhattan. So they did several movies. And then Disney Company kind of came in the late 80s and they were negotiating with the Jim Henson Company. And then things really got derailed in, I think, 1992. That is the year that I think Jim Henson passed
I
away.
think it was 1990.
Was it 90?
Yeah, it was. I know. That's why I can't say I'm like a true Muppet child because by the time I grew up with them, it wasn't him
What's
anymore.
really sad the way he died. He was a Christian Scientist. And
Yeah.
so he grew up in a household where, like, if you got sick, you just, like, a lot of these people just don't believe in going to the doctor. And he died of basically the flu.
Yeah, it was toxic. Hold on, I just looked it up.
Anyways, like, what he died of, if he would have gone to a doctor early on, he would have been okay. But anyways,
Toxic shock syndrome, which is basically like a bacterial infection that typically only kills people in developing countries. So if you go to a doctor, you're typically fine in like 2 weeks.
right.
But-
So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, he didn't really, but, and I've seen interviews with his ex-wife because they did get a divorce. And basically what she said is the man was just obsessed with his work. And he just was always working constantly. That's it. That was his life. Like, he wouldn't go on vacations. He wouldn't. And you would see all the work and all the stuff that they created over the years. I mean, of course, like, how could they? And so what now we've kind of set things up here. We've talked about the beginnings. The Muppets started up in the 50s and 60s, the Muppet shows in the 70s, a lot of continued success, movies in the 80s and 90s, kind of scooting ahead a little bit while Disney acquired them in the early 2000s. And there's been a resurgence here and there. In 2010, they had another movie. And so a lot of, cool things going on with the Muppets. So I want to tell a story. A couple of stories.
Let's hear it.
Well, one story has to deal with, and maybe we should play some music because we've been talking for a bit. But I would like to tell a story about the Muppets and about one of my favorite Muppet shows that I think a lot of people don't necessarily know a whole lot about.
Ooh.
And it's a Christmas special. And the name of it is Jim
The
Henson.
Star Wars Christmas special.
Oh, God. No,
Oh, God.
not at all. The name of the movie, which originally aired just on Canadian television, and it came out in 1977. And so it was right. I mean, they had so much going on.
Yeah.
And they decided
right
to do
in the heat of it.
And this was like it was a groundbreaking movie, and it's kind of got cult status. And I bet you Athena's in there screaming right now because she knows what I'm going to say. And it's Jim Henson's Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. And so I'm going to tell the story of Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, and we're going to just play a little music, and we'll be right back.
All right. Ooh, jazzy.
Hello, Kyle. This is supposed to be working.
I was ready.
Oh,
Where is it?
well, hang on a second.
Oh, where is it?
Wait, hang on a second.
Oh, there it is.
Kyle.
Nailed it. Yes, Philip.
Kyle. This is for your information, Kyle. Kyle. For your information, Kermit and Miss Piggy are not married. But they almost were, maybe. Although they appear in a wedding scene in the Muppets Take Manhattan, Kermit maintains that it was the characters that were playing who tied the knot. For a while, Miss Piggy insisted that they were in fact married, but eventually went back to hounding Kermit to propose, thus returning to the status quo, eternal struggle.
Everyone's favorite dysfunctional relationship.
Kyle, for your information, Rolf the dog was the first Muppet turned superstar. Starting in the early 1960s, Rolf began appearing in commercials for Purina Dog Chow. This led to Rolf appearing as Jimmy Dean's sidekick on The Jimmy Dean Show. Kyle, for your information, Miss Piggy has appeared on the cover of 6 magazines. These include People, The Saturday Evening Post, TV Guide, and Life, which proclaimed Miss Piggy for president in 1980. Miss Piggy 2020? Kyle, for your information, Gonzo the Great only performed a total of 20 stunts on The Muppet Show. Although he is best known for his weird, wild, and wacky stunts and autistic performances, Gonzo performed only 20 stunts in The Muppet Show's 120-episode run. And this has all been very fascinating Muppet information, and this has been for your information, Kyle!
Wow. I feel so educated about the whole Muppet business.
You're welcome, Kyle.
We'll get that music thing down.
Yes.
One day, perhaps.
Whatever. Yeah, it's all entertaining.
It's
Welcome
just
back.
fun. Hello, folks.
Welcome to STEAM Lab, Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Mathematics. And this week is our art episode. And we are here talking about the Muppets. It is Muppet time. And I don't know anybody who doesn't like the Muppets.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone express that sentiment, come to think of it.
I hate the Muppets.
Yeah, how do you
There's
say
something
that?
wrong with you.
Yeah, right.
But I will tell you that if you don't like the Muppets and you want to create some of your own art,
Oh, is there workshops that we're about to announce and plug?
Hey, there's always stuff going on at the Media Factory here at RETN VCAM and 99.3 FM WBTV-LP in Burlington. Come on down, create some stuff. This week, what do we have going on? Well, you could come in and learn video production with the Panasonic on the 13th, which is tomorrow. I think. Is that tomorrow?
Yes.
And then on the 14th, there's iPad and iPhone video production, which is actually really easy. I do that all the time.
You do. You put together some pretty
I put together
solid
little
videos.
videos of things that happen in our life. It's fun. It's fun to do just for fun. Video production with Canon XA10 on the 20th. So that's another like a week or so from now. Documentary interview production on the 23rd. All sorts of fun stuff happening here at the Media Factory. And the Media Factory is a community media learning and production space in the south end of Burlington, which is the home of RETN, VCAM, and 993 WBTV LP. Here at 208 Flynn Avenue. Go to the online, make some phone calls. You can call them here at 802-651-9692. Search the interweb, get some information, check it out. Maybe you can come hang out here with us at STEAM Lab and
Oh, yeah.
put a radio show together. And we are live on YouTube Live. And I've posted a link on Facebook, facebook.com/SteamLabVT. And I would say something about Twitter, but we never use it.
Solid sentiments.
But a lot of people do. Yeah. But we do have a Twitter, and it's at SteamLabVT. So,
Philip, when we left, you were going to talk to the people out there about a Muppet story, I believe.
Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. And there are plenty of holiday specials out there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there are
You ever
so
seen
many.
A Muppet Christmas Carol?
Yeah, that's one,
That was
too.
my favorite.
And some people...
Kermit played Mr. Cratchit.
Yeah, I that was a good one. And so this one's been around for over 40 years. Oh, well, I mean, it was born the same year I was. So I ought to know. It's the same age, 41. So Jim Henson's Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas it's kind of like taken this steady little path to this cult status for this larger scale. And it hasn't been in the heavy rotation of like, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that one.
Classic Christmas movies.
Right. Or what's the other one? Like Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown's
got a Christmas one. Yeah.
But it has kept like this sweet like following, and it is, kind of it's become more and more popular. If you have a chance to watch it, you should. We have it on DVD at home. It's a good one. It first was on television in Canada in December of 1977 on the CBC, and it took over a year to get on to television in the United States, and it premiered on HBO in December of 1978. Jim Henson had a pretty good relationship with HBO. If you remember Fraggle Rock.
Yes. I'd never really watched Fraggle Rock.
Are you trying to find what I'm looking at?
No, I'm just getting...
I hate it when you do that.
I'm getting...
Actually, I have my own stuff.
I'm getting Muppet music.
Oh,
queued up
great.
for a second hour.
For the second hour. Good God, good call.
Jeez, man.
Yeah. You distract me when you do that.
I'm sorry.
Sheesh. So anyway, HBO in 1978 had probably about 1 million subscribers across the country. And so that meant that it had a very limited audience. And even though it repeated on HBO, I mean, that's kind of how HBO used to work. Movies would come on and just repeat over and over again. I mean, HBO, home box office.
Yeah.
And that's just where you watch them.
On demand didn't exist. They were
Right.
on at specific times. If you missed them, you watched them again.
Right.
Yeah.
So Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas didn't get a mainstream airing until December of 1980 when ABC finally got the rights to broadcast kind of an edited version, and then Kermit the Frog actually narrated it. There's a special ABC version.
Kermit.
Yeah, Kermit the Frog here
the
to
Frog,
tell you
sir.
a little story about Jim Henson's Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
Someone's screaming at your Kermit impression right now.
I know.
And
Probably
it's me
Athena.
internally. No.
Oh, wow. There it is. Yes, you're right. So anyway, back to our little tale here. People really like Jim Henson's work. And the thing about Jim Henson is the movie is an adaptation of a novel or a book. And the gentleman, yeah, which is a really popular Christmas story. You know the story of Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas?
No, I don't at all, actually.
Right. So basically, you have these otters.
That's the book? I thought that was the interpretation.
No, there's a book.
Oh, nope, not.
And then they
enough.
took the book, and if you pull up maybe find a picture of the book itself, and you can see that what Jim Henson did is he basically took these characters, and he did a really good job. Him and his puppets, his Muppeteers, they did a really good job of getting an approximation of what they look like. Okay, and Athena, of course, found a great picture and is posting it on YouTube Live. She did an excellent job. Athena, you always do an excellent job. Seriously. And so basically...
Oh, wow, that's like spitting image.
Right, they really did a good job of making these characters... So the story itself is an adaptation of this storybook, Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, which is basically this story of Emmett Otter and his mother, Ma Otter, and in the town of Frogtown Hollow. And they're like really poor. They're poor people. Pa Otter, he passed away. And so Ma Otter is like washing clothes and doing all sorts of odd jobs to stay afloat. Mm-hmm. And, the Emmett is too young. He's supposed to be in school. But, he's like got Pa's tools. So he'll like fix fences and, they want to have a good Christmas for each other. And so the funny thing is like she cuts a hole in her wash bin so that he can have a base, or he does. I don't know. It's a whole story of like, being poor, and they go to a talent show to win some money, and they separately scheme to enter the talent show and sing. And so that's the other thing about this special. Yeah. The music, and you got to find some music on this one, is
I'll find it.
Amazing. The music is amazing, and that's the other thing about the Muppets. The Muppets and the puppetry work is amazing, but the songs that come from the Muppet Show and from this movie, honestly, if I'm being totally honest here, the music is very emotionally moving. is very emotionally moving music. And so they're trying to win money to buy presents for the other. So anyways, that's kind of the gist of the movie. You kind of get it. It's a morality tale, and, you know, they love each other, and they, you know, everything ends and people are happy. I won't ruin it for you,
I got the whole soundtrack for you next hour.
Great. So for this project, Henson, of course, brought over his, you know, relatively small band of Muppeteers, and the list, of course, is the usual people: Frank Oz, Jerry Nelson. And Jerry Nelson and Frank Oz were the two guys that were with him from the beginning. Jerry Nelson is the same guy who did, I think he did, who was he? Count Dracula. The Count, not Count Dracula. Just the Count.
The Count.
He never said Count Dracula.
1, 2.
One. All right, and then Frank Oz, of course.
Frank Star Wars fame. For those who don't know.
We're going to talk about that later.
We'll get
We're
there.
gonna talk about that. We're definitely going to tell that tale. Richard Hunt, Aaron Osger, and a bunch of other technicians. And then there were special effects people to bring a lot of this to life. So one thing that was super cool that they did at the beginning of the movie, Emmett Otter and Ma Otter are in a rowboat, right? Mm-hmm. And they are rowing on water,
rowing on water.
On a river, okay? And they are talking. So, dude.
How many hands is that?
Yeah, but it's in the water. Like, how did you do that? That's amazing.
That's wild.
So the puppets are in the water, and they're going along, and they're singing a song. And it's a funny song. They're singing about grandma's underwear.
Oh, interesting.
It's pretty hilarious. But that is so. Anyway, so while the story was this gentle story, Henson wanted the techniques and the scope of the visuals to be groundbreaking and make this storytelling in such a subtle but impressive way. And that was one way. So to be able to build these puppets, and what they wound up using was animatronics.
Really?
It was also an unofficial audition for singer-songwriter Paul Williams.
Okay.
And Paul Williams is the musical genius behind the Muppets. And he wrote all the film's original songs and the score. The success of this project led to his hiring for the Muppet movie. I mean, and come on, the music from the Muppet movie?
Yeah, it's good.
Moving right along.
Got the whole
The
soundtrack.
Rainbow Connection.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dude. Amazing.
Yeah, it really is.
So I have some interviews and stuff from that I've collected over a bunch of different.
Are we going to play some sound bites?
No, I didn't have enough time for that. I have an actual job, so.
Oh, well, excuse me. I thought your radio station was 100%. This volunteer community radio is not your gig 9 to 5 like
You
mine?
did know that I bought a house recently?
I do know.
Yeah, we're kind of busy with that too. So I put together some stuff from the interviews, and basically like Henson and the Muppets. They had been part of Sesame Street since 1969. 1976, The Muppet Show was commissioned to be produced in the United Kingdom, and now in 1977, they're like, "Oh, let's do some
groundbreaking animatronics."
Yeah, we'll do some
in our free time.
Yeah, I know. I'm telling you, man. You watch Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, and the techniques that they used and how they made this happen is what led into like the Muppet movie itself. So this is from Cheryl Henson, who's the daughter of Jim Henson. Mm-hmm. So London is where the Muppet Show was done. And her father was in London for a lot of the year. So this gentleman, Donald Sayan, really was running the New York build at the workshop. So they had stuff going on in the UK. They had stuff going on in New York City. And now they're going to film this Christmas special
for Canada,
for Canadian television. I mean, like,
quite the multinational.
Yeah, like, who has time to go see a doctor, right?
Yeah.
So Don is the lead puppet builder for the Muppets for many years. He built Rolf the dog. He built Ernie. He built Bert. Say that 5 times fast.
Bert and Ernie.
So this guy, Donald Salen or whatever, he's this wonderful puppet builder, and he was the lead designer on Emmett Otter. And it was a project that was very, very important to, I don't know what it was, but this project is like the linchpin that people don't really know anything about.
Yeah.
This is the linchpin in 1977 that leads into the Muppet movie.
Huh.
It's the linchpin that leads into
And is it-
Empire Strikes Back
is-
that happens in 1980.
Really?
Because this is where all these techniques were developed. You know, like the scene in The Muppets Take Manhattan or The Great Muppet Caper, I forget, where Kermit is riding a bicycle.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. How do you make a puppet ride a bicycle?
How do you make
Yeah.
a puppet ride a bicycle? But they did it. So this project was very important to these people, and they all worked especially hard on it. So they're working so hard on it, it becomes like an obsession for this one guy, Donald Salen. He's like working these crazy hours, just like Jim Henson. So, and all these people, they're just insane.
Yeah.
And they're slave driving themselves for Jim Henson and Jim Henson's vision. So, Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas goes into production in Toronto in March of 1977. All while they're making the Muppet Show in London. And Sesame Street is going on in New York
In
City.
New York City.
What?
They're making it happen.
I mean,
someone's not sleeping somewhere
right.
at all hours.
No, at all hours. So, okay. So this one of the additional Muppet voices on the movie was a New York City-based actress named Marilyn Sokol. Okay. And this is an interview from her. Marilyn Sokol says, I grew up on Jim's Wilkins coffee commercials. So Jim Henson, before he got into doing Sesame Street and, you know, he would use his puppets to just do commercials,
Yeah.
you know, and it worked really well. He made a lot of money.
Yeah.
So what happened was I auditioned for a workshop. I read an ad in either show business or backstage, and I came in, and Jim asked me to join the Sesame workshop, and that's how I started working with all of them. So she basically made a connection with his commercials. She says it was very, very exciting, very special, you know. Okay, I don't know why she said that. It just made me feel so fortunate, and the people who were working in the workshop were fabulous. I didn't start doing Sesame Street till after this other special. Then they were doing another one called The Great Santa Claus Switch. Wow.
Okay.
So anyways, so for Emmett, Jim asked her to voice Ma, and then they started to have her read some of it and worked on her New York accent because she had this really strong New York accent. And so Ma Otter is supposed to be this country
Oh, this
bumpkin.
southern, and it's like someone.
Well, not even just like
someone from the Bronx.
and again, like he sold her on this project, and every interview I find the same thing that people kept saying. They loved working with Jim Henson.
Yeah.
They loved the project. They loved the role, and they just wanted to follow his direction. And he was just such a soft-spoken and nice guy. Like all these people were just like the cult of Jim Henson.
Yeah.
So they had to work on manipulating her puppet voice. So behind the scenes in the shop, Henson was selecting additional performers to play supporting characters alongside these key characters. So you got Jerry Nelson is Emmett and Doc Bullfrog, whoever that is. I forget. Frank Oz plays does the puppetry for Ma Otter and also one of the bad guys, Chuck. You'd have to see it.
I see it.
And then a bunch of other people. And then Dave Goles, who is supposed to be Charlie, I think. I forget who that is. Anyways, so there was this long build up for this work. And this Dave says that he was working in the workshop at the time, and he doesn't even remember being asked. They were just like, they were involved in so many different projects at a time, and they would be interested in performing. So you can imagine they're preparing for the Muppet Show, they're preparing for Sesame Street, and they're preparing for this other Christmas special and then commercials. So it's just like you can imagine walking into this workshop and then somebody hands you a puppet and you're like, okay, you're gonna be you're gonna be in this Christmas special. You don't really know anything about it. You haven't really read anything. So they're like building these puppets, and then all of a sudden Jim Henson throws him. I got to build up to this, and they're like, we're gonna do something we've never done before. You're gonna be a catfish. And he's like, a catfish? How's that gonna work? Am I just gonna be like underwater? The catfish needs to be underwater. And he's like, okay, how am I gonna be a fish underwater, Jim? He's like, I don't know. You'll figure it out.
Hey, good luck.
Yeah.
This is the vision.
I know. So
God.
So this is like where things start developing, like these, okay, that's nice. Okay, that's good. And he just basically was like, would you like to give this a try? And he's like, yeah, I'll go for it. So not only did the guy have to play this catfish character, but he had to figure out how to do it. And so what they wound up doing is they used a lot of scuba diving equipment technique kind of thing.
Huh.
So the way they had the tank, they filled it with water. The puppet was in the water.
Yeah.
And then they had blacked out rubber appliances so that he could stick his hands in and like manipulate it and do the regular puppet stuff, but it was still underwater.
So he was on scuba.
No.
No.
He was behind the tank.
Oh, okay.
Right, but they used like dry or wet gloves.
Wet. Okay, I get
Yeah,
it.
yeah, totally. And it was all rubber. I know.
Jeez.
But they were like, how are they going to do this? So these techniques that they had to develop over time, it's pretty amazing stuff. Wow, it's 6:36.
Yep.
Let's take another quick break.
Okay.
And then there's more to talk about. There's
This is really cool.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
It really is super fascinating stuff. I find it to be. I mean, the techniques that they developed, the things that they had to do, super fascinating. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back with some news, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And now it's time for the news with Kyle.
This week in science history. In 1953, a heart-lung machine designed by Dr. John Haysham Gibbon was used to successfully complete the first open heart surgery on patient Cecilia Bovalek, demonstrating that an artificial device can temporarily mimic the functions of the heart.
Rolls off the tongue.
In 1937, at 7:25, the dirigible Hindenburg burned while landing at the naval station at Lakehurst, New Jersey. On board were 61 crew and 36 passengers. In 1963, the United States launched the Telstar 2 communications satellite on behalf of its private owner, AT&T. On its 10th orbit, it transmitted the first transatlantic TV program seen in color. In 1886, Coca-Cola, the soft drink, was first sold to the public at the soda fountain in Jacob's Pharmacy in Atlanta, Georgia. In 1960, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved a pill as safe for birth control use. And in 1985, scientists confirmed that Ebola, one of the world's deadliest viruses, had broken out in Zaire. And finally, in 1941, Konrad Zuse completed the world's first fully functional, programmable computer, his Z3 machine. And that has been Science in the News.
That's great, man.
We're getting there.
I do like it that now you're the one who's like, you're like.
I know. I feel like you've calmed down, and I'm like winding myself up. Oh God, we're there. We made it.
Yeah, we're here.
Breathe.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to STEAM Lab, Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Mathematics. And this week is our art episode, and we're talking about the Muppets, Muppet Time. And specifically, I was telling a story about Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. And, you know, the one thing that I wanted to touch on, huge, like I can't even highlight this enough, is the music. And Emmett was created to have this strong musical spine. And in interviews, Paul Williams talks about the music, and you know what he basically says is, I really wanted to have good, solid American music.
Yeah, that Americana folk
Yes,
type vibes.
very down home folk music, and that's the vibe that he wanted based on the book. Like everything, the source material was very important, and one of the most successful songwriters of the Muppets was Paul Williams, who he'd already written hits for Three Dog Nights, The Carpenters, for Barbra Streisand.
Wow.
He had some serious musical chops, and his music, as time would show, when the Muppet movie and the Muppet Show, he became a huge star.
Yeah.
Do you know Paul Williams?
And now I do.
If you see a picture
I
of
might.
him,
If
you see a picture of him, you'll be like, okay, I know who he is. So, and he was asked originally, he appeared as a guest on the Muppet Show on episode 8. And when he showed up on set to meet everyone, he was already this huge fan. He was not aware.
Oh, yeah, no, I know this guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's pretty famous.
Yeah. He was not aware of the Muppets in general, but he remembered seeing some of the stuff on the Ed Sullivan Show back in the 60s. But on the road with his band in the 70s, because of, you know, those were these crazy times, and you know, he didn't have any kids, so Sesame Street was going on, and he wasn't really, you know, he wasn't in the known. And whether he was at home in Los Angeles or some little mid-American spot, you get up in the morning and he would turn on the TV and he'd start seeing Sesame Street, and he would start seeing, you know, Muppet Show, and you know,
Yeah.
and he felt like it was just like this super hip humor. I think that was the word I was looking for at the beginning of the show. And Paul Williams, I'm reading over his interview here, and he just talks about how it was just very hip humor, and they were big fans. And so he met Jim and the whole crew. And what he says is it was like being around old friends, and there was a kindness and a side order of cynical humor that really felt like a great match for him. And really, once again, is somebody else who says, I did all this work for Jim. Almost immediately. Jim Henson had this ability.
Lovable guy.
He just had this ability to get people interested in this project and become passionate about something. And he described Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas in this very visual way. He said, we're going to do an HBO special. And it's a little different. We're going to try some stuff with the Muppets that we've never done before, but it feels like it might be a nice fit. And I think what he was actually doing was giving Paul Williams this test ride to see how well they would work together. Because if it was going, see, this is where that linchpin comes in. If it was going to be a success, if Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas with this team was going to be this success, he wanted this team for the Muppet movie, which of course everyone knows.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the Muppet movie. And it was kind of a huge gamble. And I think one of the things he was wondering is if Paul Williams was going to be the right guy for the Muppet movie. The songbook for the special ended up having this traditional Americana tone. It was not the style of music that Paul Williams was normally writing. I mean, but he ended up writing 9 original songs.
Oh, we're definitely going to play some of these songs
my
in the second
gosh.
hour. I wish you could play them right now. I have the soundtrack pulled up, and I'm like, ugh.
It's super
Commercial music limitations.
good. I know. We got 15 minutes, folks.
Yeah. Stay tuned on the radio. You'll hear
totally.
some of what we're talking about.
Well, not only that, but also stay tuned because
We got a whole nother story for you.
The next story I'm going to tell,
I'm interested in that
I'm
too.
more excited about. And the next story I'm going to tell is basically the story of The Empire Strikes Back
Interesting.
and how it hinged on one character, Yoda. And the success of The Empire Strikes Back hinged on that one character. So I'm just giving that little teaser.
Little teaser, little flavor.
Little
Spice.
teaser. And it was a pressure cooker. Anyways, we'll get to that. So Williams says, it's funny because I've never had songs write themselves as quickly as these songs wrote themselves. And some of the titles are from the book. With Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas, you have this remarkable tale that has such depth. I think it's written in such a way that the titles and the story led me to what we would now call Americana, folky music. And it's not what I did. I think probably as close as I got to that style is one of the songs that Jim mentioned when we met. He said, I just loved you from the time I heard Old Fashioned Love Song. And though Old Fashioned Love Song was really kind of rinky-dink, old-fashioned, there was something about that song and the simplicity of my melody that he lit up around it. And so that's Paul Williams. He hadn't written music like this, and he went to the script for this inspiration, and that the script is this wonderful fairy tale with this great spiritual lesson in it. And one of the songs which talks about how the river goes into the ocean. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good.
You have to give me some, and I can.
Oh my gosh!
The second hour.
Anyways, so with the songs written, it came time to record with the cast in Los Angeles. I mean, once again,
all over the place.
Oh my God! Like we're in London, we're in New York, we're filming
How far
in Toronto.
do we make these people for the crew travel to make this production a reality?
I know, and then the production unit goes to Los Angeles, and it only took a few days to record all the songs.
Wow. Okay. That's rare. Yeah.
Right?
Bands will record for like months sometimes.
Yeah, right. So this what's her name? Something Sokol. She recorded the music in California with Paul Williams, and it was just this, once again, fabulous experience. And the other thing that I came across is that with all the people that worked with the Muppets, it was their favorite thing to work on ever.
Yeah.
Because it was so groundbreaking. Everything they did, they were breaking new ground. And then when they got to the Muppet movie, they had it down to kind of like this, okay, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. So it was less creative at that point and more
putting it all together.
Yeah, just like a factory at that time. And Jim was so, and this is what this woman says in an interview, he's so proud that they had worked so hard on everything. He was in essence showing Paul our work. Oh, the name of the song is When the River Meets the Sea. And that was a big deal.
Oh, that's the one I had queued up.
Oh my gosh.
Look at that. I didn't even know it.
Right. And then there's this song about hole in the wash tub. And some of these lyrics are so good. Head full of good thoughts, belly full of grub, money in your pocket when there ain't no hole in the wash tub. Of course, it sounds like Paul. It's his personality, so they say. And it's very, very exciting. And the words are good. The music's good. And Jerry Nelson, who has a very distinguishable voice, and this woman, they had sung together on Sesame Street, and they sang together on this. And Jerry, all these Muppet people,
yeah,
just so special.
Yeah, they really are.
You know what I mean? It's so cool. And anyway, so Williams, the combination of Jerry Nelson's voice as Emmett's and Marilyn's as Ma Otter was just magical. It was this beautiful blend. But there was always a bit of uncertainty because, some of these folks, they weren't sure how things were all going to come together as a finished product.
Yeah. And
the other thing was, as we talked about, when Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas came out, it was not like
well received.
Well, it wasn't that it wasn't well received. It wasn't bright and colorful. Mm-hmm. It was kind of. I mean, if you look at pictures of the movie, it's brown. Mm-hmm. It's very brown, and it's very not sad. It's not bright and colorful. Like, when you think of a Christmas movie, when you think of a holiday movie,
think of Die Hard.
No.
The most famous Christmas movie. No, I'm sorry. All right, bad joke. Someone chuckled somewhere. Somebody chuckled at that joke. Go on.
John McClane jumping off the side of a building, the Nakatomi Towers. When you think of a Christmas movie, you think of bright colors. You think of, but this movie, it was a very advanced story. And it was a very until the end, it's just kind of sad, you know, because it's like this poor family and they're fighting to survive.
Oh my God.
Right. I mean,
Merry
you know.
Christmas, everybody. Your father's dead. We have no food and no money.
Yeah, I know. Your father's dead.
We're starting strong.
But this is the thing about Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas is that it is, if you watch it, it's so sweet. And it is the absolute best that humans can be.
Yeah.
And that these characters can be. It's not humans, they're otters. But technologically, it was very advanced for its time. And in one way and in another way, it's very rustic. So the techniques that they were using were so advanced. And the river thing, it was a 60-foot long river going all the way across the studio.
Wow.
And they had to build this rowboat that could do anything that a real rowboat could do and still
So be a puppet.
have puppets. It's pretty amazing stuff.
Jeez.
I know. So it was the techniques that were developed. And I think it's fun to talk about the cutting edge technology that was starting there. But what I think makes the movie particularly great is that its traditional puppetry was used very carefully.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, is that, yes, they had these new technologies. Yes, they had these new techniques, but they had to be very careful to make sure that they got the little things correct when it came to the puppetry. And all the detail, too. So this another thing is the costumes. All the costumes were handmade. It was... Anyways, you have to see the movie.
Yeah, I feel like
We're running out of time. I'm trying to go through so much
Oh,
information.
geez,
in a
yeah,
hurry.
it's like 8 minutes.
I know, because we got to transition to another story.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we got to. Yeah.
Well, we'll transition over the break. I think we'll burn this one out for the first hour.
Honestly, Jim Henson is probably one of his favorite works. It's one of his favorite projects that he worked on, and it was one of those things where each of those who collaborated on this special still regard it as one of their favorite career projects, even 41 years after it's first aired. And to this day, they all say meeting fellow Emmett Otter fans is this special moment of connection because so few people
Know what it is.
even know what it is.
Yeah.
Like we're sitting here right now and you have no
I had
clue.
no idea what it was.
You have no
before
clue.
it today. Yeah.
Right. And so now if you watch it, you'll be like, wow, like it's a very good movie. It's a very good movie. And without it, there is no Muppet movie. Without it, there is no Empire Strikes Back. Because we're going to talk about that when we come back. We are going to discuss how George Lucas was so impressed by Frank Oz's performance and Jim Henson's performances as the Muppets, and how he basically spent thousands of dollars on an advertising campaign to try and get them an Oscar nomination for the Best Supporting Actor as Yoda.
Wow.
And it was all based on this work that was done.
That's a teaser if I ever heard one.
Oh, man.
For our
You got to
second-
come
our
back.
second
You're
hour.
going to have to listen
Yeah,
to this
everybody
stuff.
come back. Unless you're on the radio, stay tuned.
Well, yeah, certainly.
yeah.
But I would say, before we just go taking off here,
Yeah.
that there are, some amazing things going. If you like what you're hearing and you're thinking, man, I could do a better job than those guys, guess
Come
what?
on down to the Media Factory.
You might be able to do a better job than us. It's a really good possibility. But we're here. We are at the Media Factory, which is at 208 Flynn Avenue, really close to Oak Ledge Park, right off the bike path. And there's all sorts of stuff going on this week. Let's see here. Oh, it's the 12th. So video production with Panasonic is tomorrow night. That one is absolutely free. iPad and iPhone video production is the 14th, which has a suggested donation of $25. And by the way, do you have to pay that, Kyle?
No, you do
No,
not.
you don't. If you can't
We're
afford
open
it,
to
that's totally
all
fine.
Financial abilities.
Yes. Video production with Canon is next week. Documentary interview production is also next week. And there's all sorts of good stuff going on here. RETN, VCAM, and 99.3 FM, WBTV LP Burlington. Let's play a little music, and then we'll come back, and we'll close things out for the TV, for VCAM, and for YouTube Live. and then we'll actually be able to play some of this music. You're gonna want to stick around.
I got a bunch of
It's
stuff.
so
too.
good.
So
yeah, totally.
Second hour. Oh.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Steam Lab. That was a hard cut.
cut. What just happened there? I
don't know.
I didn't mute. You just stopped it.
No, I don't know.
I was gonna do a nice.
It was my
fade.
own creation.
I was gonna do a nice fade,
I
and
know,
you just
I know.
hard stopped.
Well, we should rehearse, I guess.
Oh God.
Welcome to Steam Lab, science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. And this has been a good first hour. We're going to go away from being on the live YouTubeage, and this will be the end of the VCam. So you can catch us on VCam. I don't even know when we're on VCam.
I have some time at ridiculous hours in the morning when no one's awake.
We're on prime time.
I know.
too.
We got a prime time slot.
Give me a break. All right.
One of them.
There.
3:30 a.m. on Wednesdays.
Yeah. You love that joke. Anyways, but this program was made possible in part by Burlington Telecom's Lifeline program, promoting a digitally inclusive community by helping Burlington residents afford the internet tools they need to reach their full potential. Learn more at burlingtontelecom.com. And we are in the Media Factory in the south end of Burlington, Vermont, and this is 99.3 FM WBTV-LP Burlington, streaming online at 993wbtv.org. We reached the end of another episode of Steam Lab on VCam and on YouTube Live. We will have another hour here coming up. Connect with us on Facebook at facebook.com/SteamLabVT. Don't forget to take our poll if we ever put another one up, and we'll see you next time in the Challenge Zone.